What do you do confidently now that made you feel weird in the past? Go out in public and be around crowds. When I first started using a wheelchair, I was hyper aware of people staring at me, avoiding getting near me, or acting strange when interacting with me. Decades of being a wheelchair user have desensitized me to all that. Hardly notice now. Asking people to pay back money they borrowed. Walking down the street, realizing I was going in the wrong direction, and making a U-turn without pretending to have forgotten something. Stay calm around women I find attractive. I used to get anxious and even avoid going out for a meal on my own. Thank you for this one. You reminded me of the first time I did this, when I was about 20 years old. Moved into a new neighborhood and really wanted to try this cute little place down the street from my apartment but was solo. Put it off too many nights to admit. Until finally said duck it. Grabbed a book. Got a table, and had the 4-course prix fixe menu and I loved it. I was super nervous and embarrassed, but ended up having a pretty damn fine time. Ends up in okay company. Not really at the present. Not since February, but going to the cinema alone. First time I ever did. Back in 2016 it felt weird tbh. Even had a mother ask me if I was waiting for anyone when I saw Kong Skull Island. But now I actually prefer it most times. It means I don't have to worry about scheduling with a friend on what day's best. Don't get me wrong. I have still gone with friends, but 95% of the time I go alone. I can do whatever I want before or afterwards. Whether to look around the shops or just go straight home. Saying how I feel. I'd usually bottle things up because I didn't want to upset anyone. Buying condoms. Say no. A lot of people struggle with saying no. I used to struggle with it as well. I got a lot of advice to be unapologetic. You don't owe anyone anything. You don't have to give a reason to say no. That is stupid advice. That is obviously going to harm your relationships. Instead I realized that most people are reasonable. I present my case in a way that the other person can understand and explain why I need to say no. Almost everyone understands and does not want to put you in a difficult situation. If the other person is not reasonable, there is no point explaining further. Then you just gotta say no. But you need to try to explain first. Swim without a shirt on. My sisters made fun of how I looked without a shirt on when I was like 12, and it stuck with me for years. Just the other day I went to the beach and realized that I finally don't care anymore. Embrace my absolute love for pink after years of deluding myself into believing I wasn't like the other girls lol. English. I used to be terrible and my accent still sucks sometimes. But after more than 20 years of practice and a bachelor degree from an English university, now I'm quite proud to be bilingual. I'm the fat girl in the gym. For my entire adulthood, I would hold back my workouts for fear of jiggling, sweat, boobs bouncing, heavy breathing. I get red in the face with any exertion. Finally, I got some quality clothes that fit properly, really good bras that keep the girls in check. And now I'm really proud of how hard I work. I sweat through my clothes every workout. My hair gets soaked. I love leaving drips underneath my heavy bag. Now my coaches use me as an example of what to do if you want higher intensity in the exercise we are doing. I love it. Only 2 more hours until class starts. As a 28-year-old man this is slightly embarrassing to say out loud, but I once read something in Woman's World magazine that changed my life. This lady told a story of how she was walking to work and accidentally stepped in wet cement. The construction worker laying the cement flipped out and yelled at her for not looking where she was going. She went away mortified. The next day she was walking to work and came across the same construction worker still laying cement. She began apologizing for stepping in the cement the day before. The cement man didn't remember her at all and said people stepped in the cement all the time and he couldn't possibly remember them individually. Everyone in the world is cement man. Wear a mask over my face entering a bank to get the money. Call other adults for adult reasons. Okay, not super confidently but much more so. Close bracket. So many things. Getting older and caring less about what people who don't matter to me think of me has been extremely liberating. I've also learned that most people aren't actually paying attention when you do something stupid or embarrassing. People are usually off in their own little worlds. I was a very self-conscious and eccentric child, but adult me has fully embraced my weird side, and it's wonderful. I'm who I'm meant to be, and am surrounded by amazing people. Asking for help. I've gone through more trouble and passed up more opportunities than I'd like to admit because I was afraid of asking for someone to help me. Needing help doesn't mean you're weak, and accepting help doesn't mean pity. Going out not caring what I look like / what I'm wearing. Eating alone in restaurants, at least before COVID. I used to be self-conscious about it, but now I don't give it a second thought. Life is too short to not have the meal you want, particularly if it's going to perk up your mood on account of worrying about what the people around you might think. Enjoy yourself and what you do. Farting in front of my had an ex who was not so nice about it. Drop a doochie in a public bathroom edit. Thank you for the awards. It'll save the time I had to use a Mountain Dew fridge pack for another thread. Go out without makeup. I was gonna say rim jobs, then I saw all the thoughtful answers. I quit giving a shit. I'm not well liked now, but I'm liked, and that's better than before. Talking on the phone. I was crippling shy as a teenager, to the point I'd have to script what I was going to say before doing something like phoning for an appointment. Then age 21 I got a job in a call center, and nowadays I can phone anyone with ease, though I'd never say it's my favorite thing. I'll even complain about shoddy customer service on the phone now. Flood therapy works. Driving. Still cautious and safe, but less terrified of making mistakes and freaking out. That and driving any new cars. If someone asked me to drive a truck / SUV at age 18 I would have said no way, but now I have a little experience and wouldn't think anything if someone asked me to now. Telling the truth. I used to be so terrified of disappointing people that I would lie to keep them happy. They say the truth will set you free. That's true. It'll also make some people not like you, but that's okay. Not living my life to other people's opinions / expectations. I go around barefoot, grow veggies, and finally have chickens. Life is so good not being stressed out all the time. Let go of toxic people and get a kettle. It'll change your life. Talk to executive level audiences. Always made me feel weird in the past because they were so senior to me. Now, I'm a bit older and a bit wiser. I have more experience and exposure to C-suite level folks. Most of them are really nice, down-to-earth people. I also now talk to my dog in public. So take my previous statement I yelled like relative to this statement. I jaff if you think it's weird anymore about my talking to my dog like as a person. He understands what I'm saying most of the time. Singing out loud. Ever since I started singing for my kids I realized it doesn't matter what you sound like, as long as you're enjoying yourself. Embrace the power of the pause. When asking someone a question, allow the silent pause after the question to build tension that compels them to answer. The longer the silence, the more compelling the tension, the more effective to get someone talking. I go out to eat alone. I mean, I'm married and that's great. We go out together, but now and again, I just like my own company, a good meal and a good book. No ducks given. Calling myself a lesbian. Somehow it made me uncomfortable, and I would just call myself gay. It wasn't internalized homophobia, I just didn't like the word. Letting my weird out. I used to try to fit in with everyone. I pretended to like sports, or shooter games, or whatever the group was into and talking about. Finally I just embraced the fact that I'm just different enough from the normal crowd and I don't care. I like the obscure Japanese games people in my area haven't heard about. I like collecting cool looking bottles and glasses, and pretending I'm a wizard making potions. I like listening to show tunes. I like Disney movies. I like all those girly alcoholic drinks. IDK. What seems weird to people and what I enjoy seem to line up pretty frequently. Just staring into space. Everyone was always on their phones, so I felt a need to be looking at something too, but now. Saying I dislike football. It's like a cardinal sin in the UK. During middle school I pretended to like it to try and fit in. Picked a team, Arsenal, tried to watch games. Made me dislike it even more. Through secondary school and into my first job. When I said I didn't like football, it was usually a cue for some form of harassment. Not a real man. What are you? Gay? etc. Now I'm happy to say it and couldn't give a toss how it's received. Self-service. If you catch my drift. Growing up in a hyper-religious household and community, certain acts were heavily condemned. This included your own sexuality and desires/drives. Presentations. I used to stutter a lot. While I still have severe social anxiety, I managed to pull it off with the extroverted clown energy. Not an extrovert by any means. As a man. Sit down to pee. Curse felt so wrong and weird I pretty much whispered them in first grade, but by second I was solid in my delivery. Be proud to be gay. Have conversations with people. I used to basically not be able to talk to anyone for any length of time without being drunk. Small talk and deep conversations were super hard for me. Now 6 months later I have talked to people for hours that I have just met about anything under the sun. Dance. Whenever the opportunity arose through puberty and early adult life, I'd just be standing in the corner, too shy to do anything, and caring a lot about how I looked to people. Sidestepping shyly if I felt forced, to the point of getting nervous about the fact that I wasn't doing anything. Then, one weekend at a music festival, something clicked that felt completely out of the blue, and I started flailing my arms around and making the dumbest moves to the sound of the music, and I had the best time in my life. If there is a party, I'm dancing all night with everyone and anyone. And it looks like shit, but I'll be damned if my white ass isn't having the best time. Talk like a goofball to my kids. Read in silly voices. Back when I only had one kid, I wasn't even comfortable doing it when I was home alone with him. Now I can be silly at the store, in front of strangers with my kids. Speaking in public. I got a job in sales that required me to give presentations in front of people. After my first solo presentation, the customer actually told me how shitty I was and how I would never make a good salesman. I went back to my car and threw up. Now I give presentations multiple times a day and am so used to it that I can devote most of my attention to gauging audience reaction, allowing me to adjust the pitch and emphasize or de-emphasize different topics based on their interest. That original customer got demoted about a year ago, which was pretty sweet. Now I deal mostly with his former assistant, who got his old job. Poop in public. I used to not give a shit in public, but now I do give shits. In India, you're looked down upon if you listen to Hindi music, read Hindi books, or are a fan of Bollywood. Growing up I felt the need to completely westernize myself, listen to English music exclusively, only watch Hollywood movies, the whole shebang. Since last few years, I've been embracing my native language in my culture. It's taken a lot of rediscovering my past. Amazing movies I missed out on because I was too cool to watch them. Hindi music that I was too cool to play on the speaker. It's liberating to embrace your roots. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.